Hi everyone, I'm Lynette and welcome to this creative journey today. We are going to be starting with random marks and find a composition from that. And it's amazing how order can emerge from the chaos when we trust the process inside of us. As we work, you're going to notice how your eye naturally seeks balance. And just as we often find our way through life's ups and downs and we seek balance from within, this is the same thing. You're just needing to be more aware of it. And so join me and see how you can trust the process, trust yourself, and follow your intuition. In this demo, I'm going to be starting with some straight black lines placed randomly, which I usually don't work with straight lines, as you know, but I'm excited to see what happens when we allow the lines to form the shapes on their own. And after that, I'm going to add some color. I'm thinking I'm going to start with some yellow or gold color, then some turquoise, and finally a version of red. And the goal is just to discover balance and composition through these seemingly random elements. And yes, I'm using tape, especially in the beginning because my lines will probably start to curve. So I'm going to make these initial ones with tape. Still random, even though I'm laying down the tape. And as I place these lines, there's no particular order or plan. I'm just letting them fall wherever they feel right in the moment. Which area needs a little bit more attention? Sometimes starting with something completely random feels a little uncomfortable because it's not controlled. And it's easy to want to make those perfect marks. But that's exactly the point. Art doesn't have to be perfect. It's about embracing the process and trusting that something meaningful will emerge, even if we can't see it at first. Now I'm just using a gift card. Painted the edges of them and just going to make some thinner lines. I'm turning the paper in hopes that I don't follow the same angles. Although I can see that I am following parallel lines. It must be my design background in me coming out that things need to be parallel. Let's see if I can change that up a little bit. I'm looking at the shapes within the lines, not just the lines themselves. There's something fun about just letting go of control. And then just allowing these marks to speak for themselves. In life, we can sometimes get caught up in wanting everything to be perfectly planned. But when we let go, we allow room for new ideas and new pathways, and sometimes a bit of surprise. The randomness, the chaos, if that's what it is, can actually guide us towards something unexpected, just like in art. I don't know what this is going to turn out like. Now, let's add some color. I think there's enough interesting shapes in there. And I'm kind of anxious to see what this color is going to do. First marks. Ooh, first marks. No turning back now. So with this gold, I want to see how it relates to the black. I want the black to still show through. So now the shapes start becoming more important all of a sudden. That color is bringing life into the piece. But it's also playing a role in balancing the randomness of the black lines. I'm looking at different sizes of the gold, different placements. What's the area like around them? Is there room for the gold to breathe? Still with being next to the black, but also the white, and also with the other gold areas. Balance and composition doesn't always mean everything is the same or symmetrical. A lot of times it's about creating contrast and harmony. And the yellow adds that warmth and draws your eye to certain areas of the piece. But I want to be careful. I don't want to overdo it, which is why now I'm putting in this turquoise. The cooler color is going to be a nice contrast to the warmth of the gold. I find this subdued turquoise has a calming effect to me. It's like it's almost pushing the gold back a little, making the composition feel more grounded. This is the great thing about working with contrasting colors. The warm, the cool, they help balance each other and create tension, which keeps the viewer's eye engaged. And composition is all about how the colors and lines relate to each other. It's about creating relationships between the elements. And sometimes those relationships need that little bit of push and pull, that tension. And right now that turquoise, it's providing really that gentle push, I think, to balance the boldness of the yellow. Now, as I'm looking at the turquoise, I'm getting ready to add this reddish color. I'm thinking of the rhythm in the piece. Just like music has rhythm, a composition has an energy or a flow to it. You want the viewer's eye to move smoothly from one part of the painting to another. It's like a melody unfolding when you listen to a song. Now, this attracts attention. Look at that boldness of the red. My eye is immediately drawn to the areas where I've added the red. That's the power of contrast too. It creates focus and it directs the viewer's attention to specific areas of the painting. Now I want the viewer's eye to go around the painting. When you introduce a color like red, it creates emphasis, especially in the intensity it is. It's a little bit more than the turquoise. And notice how your eye is immediately drawn to the areas where I've added the red. In terms of balance, red is making certain sections feel more dynamic. Where do I put that next part? Now it's starting to become like a puzzle. I'm sort of trying to think of the next part and then even a few steps ahead. Almost like a game of chess. You're thinking ahead. I don't want to put too much because I don't want the painting to be overwhelmed with the red. So I'm just going to try this thin little line. See what it does. I like the contrast of the thinness with the other shapes. Will it stay? Not too sure. I'm aiming for this balance where the colors are working together, but each has its own moment that you go there and your eye recognizes it. Now that red is creating from the top to the bottom, almost like a line through the center of it. And for that reason, I'm making this more intense. That thin line wasn't doing enough to bring my eye over there. It wasn't creating that movement. So now at least the eye goes back around and not just straight down the middle with the reds. I like how the colors are dancing. It's like a little happy dance with these. I quite like the straight lines. Starting to look good, balanced. There's something in that one corner. It's a little bit light, but I'm not addressing it just yet. Do you ever do that? You put off making a decision on something because you haven't quite decided what to do. This part's a little bit light. Just going to make it a little darker, and it balances a little bit better with the others. Now, I really do need to do something with that corner, that bottom right corner. It's saying, paint me, paint me. Yeah, so much of painting really is thinking and looking, making decisions. Here we go. So I'm going to do this little part first and see if it needs to be, those two are exactly the same size right across from another. I don't really like that at all. So that decision was easier. I'm going to make a bigger shape of the gold. And this next part I'm just going to speed up a little bit, just because it's turning the paper, looking at the different parts of it. Do I like the amount of white space that's in there? Do I need to add any of those little touches of details? And I like how this is working. Makes me happy. I like how the lines and the colors have come together. They started as just random marks, and now it's transformed into something. It's more intentional, but still, there was a lot of surprises in it, a lot of decisions that had to be made. I think that's just the beauty of the creative process. When we let go and we allow things to unfold, we just discover the balance and harmony in unexpected ways. And I add that little bit of red. I don't think I'm going to see it if it were to get framed, but it makes me feel good to add that. And I do want to add just a line, a thin line of red somewhere. So when I look at these finished pieces, and I think about the composition, I think, is it filled with movement and contrast and harmony? And I think about when you add these little details, how it makes you feel, how it adds to the feeling of the painting and the completion of it. And then also as a finished piece, it's adding the matte and seeing if I like it as a whole, if I like it different ones. It certainly looks better without those torn pages on the edge of the paper. Look at that. That just changes it automatically. And then, wow, the black matte is wonderful. Now we're giving it a boundary. It's a space that adds context and it gives a sense of completion, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, that just pops. I love it. Creates that contrast and the brightness of the colors really come in. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you feel inspired to explore balance and composition in your own way and trusting the process. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for the next one. And sign up for my newsletter where I give extra tips and videos. See you next time.